Welcome to Offsite Dirt, the podcast committed to news and insight in the offsite construction industry. Join our team of experts covering modern methods of construction, high-performance build, lean manufacturing, prefab, and beyond. Here's the dirt on Offsite Dirt. Hello and welcome to Offsite Dirt. We're excited to have you here and have a very interesting discussion about interior design. As we all know, construction, offsite construction, anywhere you really build, there's always the philosophy of how does it look like on the inside? What are the interiors and why is it so special? Many of you know I live in Savannah, Georgia, and I had the honor to meet LaTasha Summers. She's an interior designer with extensive experience and a strong passion for design in the design industry. She is a proud U.S. veteran. How about that?
Yes.
Who holds a degree in interior design and business management. She has embarked on new phases in her career, utilizing her expertise in transforming interior spaces with remarkable dwellings. She specializes in luxury design, and of course, we want to bring her over into the offsite construction industry because we need someone like her to aesthetically please what our buildings not only look like from the exterior building colors and sophistication, but also what is the feel and what is the opportunity for those people walking into those buildings, those homes, and how do we make it feel so much better and so much home-like? So without further ado, LaTasha, how are you today?
I'm doing great today. Thank you for having me on the show. It's good to be here.
I'm so happy you are. And you know that we have talked a lot about interior design, and the philosophy is still the same, that it's really taking care of people and really kind of seeing
Mhm.
their vision. How do you see the industry changing, and what kind of trends and stuff are you seeing in the industry today from your experience? But first, before we get there, I understand that we'd love to get a little bit more into your background, and I would love for the audience to know your connection with construction.
Well, that's a good question. It stems back when I was younger. My father and my uncle, they are actually in the construction world themselves. They build homes when I was growing up, and I often visit these sites with them and, had my little input along the way. And I learned a great deal during that time frame with them on just the structural elements and components of a space. But I didn't know that that passion would morph into something more of taking an interest to the interior space. But to me, it's really one and the same. I've always seen myself being involved with the architectural structure of a building as well as the interior space. So I've been kind of dabbling in this for quite a bit of time, and I'm no stranger to it. And I hope to one day get involved in the construction industry again, working very close with builders and developers.
I think you are. And for our audience, why don't you kind of bring us through a little bit of your evolution of how you got to Mattie's Loft Interiors, and why is that name so important to you?
Oh, well, that's a good question. Well, as far as my background with interior design, like I said, I actually think it was something I was born with, just that creative spirit. And but I just never really gave it attention. I never really fed it. So I kind of, went off the path and went into the business world, but it came right back full circle. So I decided to actually go to school and get a degree in interior design so that I can kind of solidify those natural talents and abilities that I had. And I thought that, it would be nice for me to get some experience in the field as well and learn as much as I can and get under some of those professionals that I, admired and they served as mentors. So I really got into the field. I started off with a high-end company called Baker's Furniture. And then I morphed from there to Furniture Land South, which is an amazing company to work for. And then I kind of started doing my own thing. I got into a little philanthropic work, doing event planning and things like that, just bringing awareness to certain organizations that we worked for. And then I kind of migrated again to working as an interior design and sales consultant after shortly moving to Georgia, because at that time I was in the North Carolina area. which is the furniture capital of the world. And it, all the resources were just a numerous amount of resources there. So it just felt like home. And leaving there, I was a little bit skeptical how I would do, but taking that knowledge, everything that I learned, having those connections still from the industry in North Carolina really helped me to create my own path here, put my little footprint here in Savannah, Georgia. And so I went on to work for Georgia Furniture and Interiors, who unfortunately is not with us any longer, but I did learn a great deal about this market, this arena. So it was a little bit different than the one in North Carolina, but I had a chance to experience a little bit more there. But I felt like something was missing in terms of just not knowing all that I could about interior design. So I went into the retail arena and ended up partnering with Pottery Barn and just really learning more about that aspect of design, which is kind of where I bumped into Audrey, which was an amazing, amazing time. And I got to know her. She was just there briefly, but the construction thing she was always talking to me about, and I just felt like she's one to know and someone I wanted to stay connected with. And here we are today.
I love it. I love it. And tell us a little bit about Mattie's Loft. How did that
Okay.
name come up and why is that so near and dear
Well,
to your heart?
well, Maddie's Love, I think has always been an underlining passion, in my heart. It has a deep meaning for me. After I feel like going full circle in the design industry, I felt like the only thing left to do is try it for myself. And so, I kind of stepped out there and started my own company, and Maddie's Loft was the name that I gave it because Mattie is my mother. And my mother, she passed away many, many years ago when I was very, very young of breast cancer. And it was a very difficult time for me at that point. And I kind of lost, my sense of home, direction in life, things like that. And that was a thing that was separated from me for so long. And as I grew, I started to kind of like uh, offset my perspective of home with, some of the traits and the experiences that I had with my mother growing up. And I just felt like it was a way that I wanted to honor her moving forward. Mattie is what home means to me. And I wanted to bring that idea and that concept into the homes of my clients, just really tapping into, their understanding of what home means to them and just working those elements into the space and into the design. So, Mattie is just really a honor to my mother, and a representation of what home means to me. So, that's kind of where the name came up of Maddie's Loft. So,
It's
I feel
beautiful.
pretty good about that.
It's so wonderful and it's so
Mhm.
beautiful. And I think those are the things that make us such great entrepreneurs, honoring others,
Mhm.
honoring ones that have touched our lives. And now that we're going to kind of go back to, I'd love to know what trends you're starting to see in the industry. What's coming up for you, LaTasha? I know right now you're on these luxury custom
Mhm.
homes and you're entering into, hospitality and large construction
Yes.
projects. That's kind of the future of where you're going to be expanding. But what are you seeing today?
Well, there are several trends that I am seeing today, and some of them I think are transitioning from that trend setting into more of a more permanent presence in the interior design industry. But some of the ones that I'm going to highlight today are sustainable materials. That's actually, I think, is moving out of a trendy type of a position into a more permanent place in interior design and maybe even the world of construction. There's been a lot of use of wood and glass and granite and stone materials just to create texture in a space and bring in natural components and natural elements in a space. So that's been a thing that's really caught on and it's been growing and it's been a trend for quite some time, but I think that it's going to stick around. And then I noticed that people are moving more to using the steel framed window panels, and they're moving away more from the vinyl panels. And I think that because it's more durable and they're moving more into the contrast that they bring to the actual structure. And and I think it's very pleasing aesthetically to the structure as well. It's not as traditional looking as the white window frames, but it provides, I think, more lighting and things like that. But I'm seeing it a lot more in homes. I'm seeing it a lot more in building structures in for as commercial, and that's been a trendy thing that is catching on really fast. And another trend that I'm seeing is biophilic design. A lot of people are starting to bring the outdoors in, and you see this heavily in the bohemian aesthetics. But it not only just belongs to a residential setting. You see it when you go to restaurants and lounges and things like that. People are bringing that outdoor dwelling inside just to feel more at one with nature and things like that. So that's been a trend that's really catching, and I think it's going to stick around for a while. And I would say the last trend that I've been noticing is that as a designer, when I'm gathering information from my clients to determine, how they're going to function in the space, a lot of them are wanting gathering spaces within their homes. And with the rapid growth of technology and how it's used in our day-to-day life, they're looking for areas to take a break away from that everyday life and getting into technology and putting down your phones and reconnecting with family and friends. And so I'm starting to see that being a trend more as well.
That's beautiful. And I agree with you. I feel better when I have natural products around me. And one of the areas that's really growing that I'm still learning about is called CLT, which is cross-laminated timber, which is literally an ecosystem of utilizing fiber from trees and creating these composites and building these amazing buildings. And what they have been noticing is that when you have wood floors or wood ceilings, there is a part of the body that responds really well to it and calms the nervous system. So
Yes,
bringing that outside, and there is something that's actually metaphysical that's going on too, not only
absolutely.
for the aesthetics. Don't you agree?
Right, right. Well, I agree because interior design places a lot of emphasis on mood and how you feel in a space. And the idea is to transform that your mood and your swings, especially when you're dealing with residential environments, how a person feel when they enter the space. So it's only appropriate to use natural materials and things like that that people respond well to and incorporate those into the home so that you can create that type of feel when a person enters the space. So I definitely agree with you there. You're starting to see more of that, and I think it's going to be around for quite some time.
I,
Yeah,
we both know that traditional construction really does honor having an interior designer. They build the building, they really work with their great partners and hire their interior designers to help with the aesthetics inside the building, and sometimes even helping with the outside with lighting, with colors, with textures and feelings like that. But the whole reason why I really love this conversation that we're having, LaTasha, is coming from the offsite construction industry, the one area that I continue to see that needs maybe more involvement or evolve itself is the modular factory. Are the companies that are doing panelization, those companies really should start thinking about how do you bring interior design into that platform? What's your feeling about that?
well, I think that that's a great way to think it and become inclusive. I think the interior design industry, along with the construction industry, would be a great collaboration because, lately people are seeking to create these enjoyable lifestyles, and home design is primarily the focus when it comes to that. And the interior design industry, it has it's traditionally it engages with the client to create the best living experience. That's the whole basis of it. And we do that through ways to improve functionality and effective space planning, how the space is going to be used. And we do this usually at the start of the project. And I think that, lately I've been seeing builders adapt a similar approach to working with their clients from the conceptual stage, just to ensure that the designs fully optimize, what they desire. And like you mentioned earlier, some architectural firms are partnering with interior designers to create that balanced, curated space that reflects the desires of their clients. And there have been a lot of positive feedbacks based on that collaboration. So I think that that's the importance of the relationship between the interior design industry and the construction industry. And I hope that it's one that, continue to, work together for, years to come. And I can definitely see that something in the construction industry as a permanent situation, because it's we're after the same goal here, to create the best, client experience and give them what they truly desire.
Agreed, totally. And I see it. I see that we all have our specialty. We have our specialty in building. We may have our specialty in pre-construction. We might have our specialty in knowing more about high performance and knowing how to do
Mhm.
calculations in order for that building to be the best possible, enclosed process that it can be. And so interior design also is a reflection of that same process of
Right.
knowing where your specialty works and then collaborating with those individuals to make it the best possible living solution. So in closing, LaTasha, how do you work with your clients? How do they find you? And what is your process to working with them?
Well, typically, word of mouth has been my main marketing tool. From one project to another, there's one client telling another. But outside of that, I do have my website. I'm starting to really tap more into the social media platforms. I can't lie, it's not something that I specialize in. I'm slowly getting to that, because I do believe that it is a great platform to express, yourself, and show the company brand, what it's all about, show your services and what you do. So I'm starting to utilize that more. But typically, it's really through word of mouth. I can't tell you the number of projects that I've gotten based on recommendation, and it's been a great, source for me to gain leads. And typically the process is, taking that prospective lead and reaching out to them to see if we're a good fit. I typically call it a qualifying process to see if, I'm a good fit for them and what they're seeking and what they need. And also if they are the type of client that I would like to work with too. Because I do, it's both ways. At that point, we're interviewing each other. And if so, and they express interest in moving forward, and then we reach out and we start the questioning. And that's when really it's a questioning that happens throughout the process at many different levels, to make sure that we are in the right, moving in the right direction. We are nailing the aesthetics that they desire, that they are truly wanting what they're saying that they want, because that can get a little tricky. Sometimes you may have a client that says, yes, I would like this, and turns out they like that. So really putting those options in front of them, staying connected with them through the process, asking questions, making sure, okay, are we still on the right path? So it's a lot of connecting with the clients to extract that information to make sure we are delivering what they really, really want in the space. And then, after we gather all this information, it's time to present the concept to them. Let them see what the potential space can look like. And at that time, they would say, okay, well, I love it. And let's make some revisions if necessary. And then that's when we start uh, doing the procurement, getting all the products, doing all the purchase orders and things like that. And that's where we really zoom in on the timelines, making sure we stay, on time based on the project, start and desired end date. So that all plays a part, which in a perfect world, it would work out fine. But, in the industry, I know you know this, Audrey, that we come across obstacles where there are back orders, things are discontinued, that is no longer available, and things like that. So you have to be resourceful and plan for these types of things as well. And help the client through those challenging times because it can be a bit overwhelming for them. And that's something I typically make them aware of in the beginning of the process that, hey, look, we're going to run across some obstacles here, but it's okay. We're going to work through them. And I just think keeping a positive mindset and guiding the client along the way through the design process is what my clients respond to very well with my processes. And, I'm going to keep that around. And then, typically after procurement and we start receiving everything is the installation period where we put it all together and do the great reveal. And, the client is thrilled at the finished results. And, that's when we get the exit interviews and we get the pictures and the photos and show you guys how that all came together. But it is a very lengthy process. Most of my projects run anywhere from 6 months to a year because I primarily do whole home projects. And so I'm with my clients for a great deal of time. The relationship kind of morphs from client sometimes to a friendship. But you begin to learn more about your client in that process and how to apply these things you learn to the next project, the next client, and so forth. And so I've been very fortunate since I stepped into the whole Mattie Loft world. And I'm looking forward to expanding what we do, expanding our services and moving more over into the commercial industry, which involves construction and things like that. I'm looking very much forward to working with offsite dirt and companies like that to, bring that full package to the client.
I have no doubt that you will be doing that because you already are. And I love that you
Yes.
kind of mentioned about supply chain and expectation and deliverables, and also preparing the client because you're right, in construction, in design, in
Mhm.
remodeling, any of them, we're still in a very volatile, moving market. We can
Yes.
predict only so much and so far into the industry and also into that project. So it's wonderful to have that open communication and then also leading them through that schedule, right? The schedule
Yes.
of what you guys have all agreed on. It is not an
Mhm.
easy industry. Uh,
No, it's
it's kind of like the marriage, when you get married and you're, a consultant doing that kind of work or even an event planner, it's very difficult because it's very personal.
yes,
It's very personal.
absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
being able to have that plan, really setting up the expectations is really what you have achieved at Maddie's Loft. And I celebrate you because I think
You.
that we need more individuals and more individual companies that really care about not only their client, but setting up the expectations so you can have a good outcome.
Absolutely. It's all about the client experience to me. And, I think that is at the forefront of Maddie's Law. And I think, once that client understands that, they're in good hands, they can trust the process, there's a point where they relax and they say, yes, 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 I'm in good hands and, they're thrilled with everything and they can adapt to the changes and the challenges that come along a bit more easily because you already set the expectation and prepare them for things like that to come. So I agree with you there. And I wish that we can find ways around these challenging obstacles, but it's a part of the industry. It's not going anywhere.
Absolutely. Well,
Mhm.
so happy you're here, LaTasha
Thank
Summers with
you.
Maddie's
Thank
Loft
you.
Interiors. You're doing a beautiful job. We're so grateful for you in Georgia, but I know that you work nationally as well. And
Mhm.
it's great to celebrate another part or another department, as I like to call it, in the
Yes.
pre-construction team or the planning team for helping customers, helping clients, helping the industry to design not only the building and the constructing of it, but also the interiors that gives us the experience. So thank you for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
And that's a wrap on Offsite Dirt. That's the dirt on interior design. I'm so happy you're here. We look forward to seeing you again next time. Make sure to like us, follow us, and share to all of your friends and family out there. Thanks for being here.